BCP'S.com. I'm Evan Wren, and this is our Countdown to Two-A-Days series, our daily look at an area football team and the three burning questions we're going to be answering about that football team in our August 16th preseason football preview here at Big Country Preps. I'm here with my partner, Dan Youngblood. And Dan, we're starting off on the right foot here. We're going to start off with one of the biggest powers in the Big Country, the Albany Lions.
Yeah, and not only one of the area powers, they can now say they are a defending state champion, which was obviously a huge deal last year. But this is an Albany team that returned 6 offensive and 6 defensive starters among 11 returning lettermen. Lost 9 from that team that went and won state last year. So they do have some questions to answer, and we'll address some of those here today.
All right, before we jump into today's show, we wanted to remind you YouTubers to please hit the subscribe button. Also, hit the little bell so you'll get notifications each and every time we come up with a new podcast here at BigCountryPreps.com. It'll be a great way for you to follow our Countdown to Two-A-Days series. So please hit the subscribe button. Once you do that, please, we appreciate it.
With that, we'll go ahead and jump in. Let's start with our burning questions, and the first one that comes to mind for me. It's that quarterback position. Obviously, they've been set there for several years now with Cole Chapman. He has graduated, and that's going to be, I think, a question that Albany's going to have to answer, and one that we'll definitely be looking at in our preview.
Absolutely. It's a question that typically and Albany consistently answers and has answered over the years. And it's mainly because of that running game that they continue to produce. A young quarterback can have the pressure taken off them, and we'll see about that. Question number 2 for me, they're going to have a young linebacking core. They're going to, a lot of the key people, the key personnel that played linebacker last year or saw time there have been handed their diploma. So that's going to be an area that the Lions are going to have to build some experience quickly.
Yeah, they graduated 4 of their 7 leading tacklers, all of which saw time at that linebacker position. Adam Hill is back among that group, but they are going to have some serious questions to answer there. And last one, back over the offensive side, and it's kind of ties into question 1. They're going to have to develop some receivers, some weapons at that receiver position. In returning
Yes.
Hill, a 1,500-yard rusher last year, that will be obviously a boon for whoever takes over that quarterback position. Right now, it looks like Luke Wheeler would be the heir apparent. But at the receiver position, really, Kason Fairchild's the one and only guy they returned that caught a lot of balls last year. So that's going to be another question that we will be talking about in our preview as well.
You could very well be seeing the Lions knocking people down early to buy time for the new quarterback and the new skill personnel. And that's typically what they've been able to do in the past. We shall see.
Yeah, and obviously, when you're talking about Albany, you're talking about a reload program, not a rebuild one. So I think everybody expects them to be very good again this year. Let's go ahead and look real quickly at the schedule. I'll just do a rundown starting with the non-district. They open their season August 25th at Lubbock Trinity Christian, followed by home games against Dublin and Seymour, before wrapping up the non-district portion at Hawley on September 15th, and what will be a huge game for our area in particular. And then September 22nd at Comanche, which should also be a tough test for them. So there's a couple of really good non-district games there at the end of that slate.
All right, then an open date for Albany on the 29th. They jump into district play at home against Miles, followed by a road date at Cross Plains, home dates with Roscoe and Hamlin, and then a road date at TLCA to wrap things up for the regular season. And it should be another interesting year for Albany. If they answer some of the key questions as the school year goes along, we could be looking at another very long trip through the playoffs for the Lions.
Yeah, no question. I think even with some of the questions they have to answer, you have to consider them the favorite in that district, and then we'll just kind of see where it goes from there. But I'm looking at that Hawley game road test, that Comanche road test. Those are going to be some really fun matchups there in the non-district to get them ready for the district play.
Absolutely. Games of the year, Hawley and Comanche on the road. Those both turned out to be, good ball games last year. And, Albany was banged up when they played those teams last year. If they go into those games healthy this year, it's going to be a lot of fun. Either way, those would be great games to prepare prepare Albany for, a playoff trip later on down the line, which they're almost certain to have.
And with that, it's about time to wrap up this episode of our Countdown to Two-A-Day series. But before we do, we want to remind you one more time to be on the lookout for our August 16th preseason football preview. There will be just a ton of information, features, previews, predictions. If you want to get ready for the football season, that's going to be a great way to do it. So be on the lookout for that. In the meantime, thank you for joining us for this episode of our Countdown to Two-A-Days series, and make sure you join us again tomorrow when we will be highlighting the Cross Plains Buffaloes here at BigCountryPreps.com.